Welcome to your in-depth astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 16th of September. I'm going to share with you to begin with some standout details to look out for, then on screen the event chart right at the start of the week. This provides a backdrop for the whole 7 days and we can all collectively relate to it. Then I'll go through each of the 12 signs from Aries through to Pisces, which you can watch from the perspective of your ascendant, sun or the moon. The week begins with a potent T-square. Mars, the planet of passion, intersects between the North Node, the point of destiny, and the South. That's a rocking start to this week. I need to unpack that for you. But also at the start of the week, there's still the sparkling alliance between Venus and Jupiter, one of astrology's most fortunate links, and that's really exciting too. But it's a week which sees the Sun in a trine, one of astrology's most enabling angles, between the Sun in the practical, pragmatic Virgo and Uranus in the earthy Taurus, very much about resources. If we can approach things in a fresh or innovative way, there could be some extra benefits from this. But on Wednesday, we get the first of a new eclipse series with a lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. And whilst Uranus is part of this picture, on the other side of the heavens from the Sun in Virgo, along with the Moon in Pisces, is the shimmering, mesmeric energies of Neptune. This event provides a backdrop for the next 6 months, so it's hugely important. I'm going to go through that to explore what that's truly about. Now, there is, towards the end of this week, quite a positive link in some ways between Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury in Virgo, very much about the details. Jupiter in Gemini, very much about the enthusiasm of the message. So we can promise something that perhaps we shouldn't, but it can be a bubbly end to the week. So I'll unpick that for you too. If you're new to my channel, it's great to have your company. If you have any thoughts, please share them. This is very much a community. If you're a returning visitor, as ever, I truly appreciate all your views and interactions. If you'd like to have a one-to-one with me, a personal reading, please check out my testimonials below. I am a consultant astrologer. And also, if you'd like to take advantage of my unique special offer, you can order your year 2025 personal horoscope forecast based on your unique birth data now and get the rest of year 2024 free and 30% off, and you also get your life roadmap report. All of this gives you a tremendous amount of information. It's great value to guide your moves. Please see the link below for more. On the screen now is the event chart right at the start of the week. The Sun has entered the 4th and last week of its journey through the practical, pragmatic and precise Virgo. Next week we'll have the autumnal equinox and the Sun will travel into the sign of balance and relating of Libra. Now, the Moon is in the sign of Aquarius, where it can be a little bit rebellious and outspoken, but it's very close to the path of fortune. Aquarius is also the sign of the collective. If we do something, a good deed for a friend or a good cause, it's something that we can gain some genuine uplift from within ourselves this week. But Mars, which moved into Cancer last week, is in a T-square at the start of this week with the nodal axis. The North Node, the point of destiny, is in Aries, and since the middle of July 2023, it's been pushing us along with Chiron and the Aries solar eclipse to really clarify what we want as individuals. But the ruler of the sign of Aries is, of course, Mars. So Mars does have a mutual receptivity with this event, but the square suggests we could be tempted into doing something quickly, which may require a little more thought. Now, Mars in Cancer can be defensive and prickly. It's terrific if we want to catch up on those domestic chores that we've been putting off, but the right angle with that North Node, which can just instinctively draw us to do something, suggests that if we are going to act quickly, we just need to be aware that someone close to us could be in some ways affected by the speed of that move. But also at the start of this week, we still have Venus and Jupiter in a sparkling alliance, which can be quite fortunate. If you recall, that reached the peak last week, but all through this week, the Sun is forging a very dynamic link with Uranus. Uranus has been quite the disruptor since 2019, full time, in the sign of Taurus, which is very much about our self-worth, values and resources. But Uranus is also pushing us to approach things in a fresh way. Because the Sun in Virgo is very much about organisation, if we can look at something afresh, even something that may have been a bit stuck, we may find a new solution which unblocks the logjam. But at the heart of this week, we have a lunar eclipse, the first in a new series in the sign of Pisces. It's also very, very close to the shimmering, mesmeric energies of Neptune. Over the next 6 months, that's going to make all of us much more conscious of sensitivities. It can be our dreams become more vivid. We could be inspired around art or film. But also because Neptune has been in the sign of Pisces since 2012, if there has been any unreality in some of our moves, that may be something that we need to address, because the Sun in Virgo, opposite the position of the Moon and also Neptune, is asking us to be very practical. And if something is out of alignment, that's the area we need to work on. Now, towards the end of this week, Mercury and Jupiter square up. This can be a very positive, vibrant and bubbly right angle. Now, Jupiter in Gemini finds it easy to say things and be optimistic, but of course Mercury demands much more precision. So the danger here is that we could promise to do something that actually then becomes a bit of a burden. So it's going to be important to be obviously positive, but also be able to deliver on whatever we agree to. Welcome Aries to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. There's a lot of energy at the start of this week, which could see you push forwards with a project or a plan in a really dynamic way. But someone close to you may not quite be ready for this, but what you can use is the diplomacy of Venus and the positivity of Jupiter as they couple perfectly on Monday and Tuesday to be inclusive, so they feel a sense of buy-in to what you want to try. But if you are trying to squeeze a bit more from your resources or be more innovative in your approach, a great link between the Sun and Uranus this week certainly gives you a window of opportunity to try something fresh. Now on Wednesday there is a lunar eclipse. It's in the sign of Pisces, ushering in a new eclipse series for the next couple of years. This can be very idealistic, very spiritual, but it also can activate a very deep part of your nature. If you are someone who has got a strong interest in spirituality or healing, that's going to be something you can expand on over the next couple of years. It's also important to understand that eclipses are about finding a balance. So the Sun in the practical Virgo is asking you to find an outlet for some of those interests that has some kind of tangible benefit. So just bear that in mind. But the chances are you're going to have some very vivid dreams over the next couple of years. But also you could find yourself attracted to go to places that are very peaceful and quiet. Immerse yourself in nature. Enjoy some escapism for sure. But as the week draws to a close, a chatty, interactive link between Mercury, the planet of communication, and Jupiter suggests that you could feel very bubbly about something. But if you do, again, try not to rush it, because you could end up actually missing a small detail. Now, as the week draws to a close, Venus moves forwards in your sector of relating and does clash with Pluto, the planet of power. If there is a relationship in your world, and it doesn't have to be a romantic one, where it seems that you give a bit more than you feel you get back, this could come under the astral microscope as this week draws to a close. In fact, that lunar eclipse could make you a lot more sensitive in the weeks and months to come. And so it's going to be important for you to be a bit more protective about who you mix with. Sometimes it's not what people say that's actually the issue. It's the energetic exchange. It's how it feels for us. If there's someone you don't feel you're quite so comfortable with, or someone who demands a lot of you without necessarily appreciating it or giving you that back, perhaps you need to reinforce your boundaries a bit. And this square between Venus and Pluto gives you a great opportunity to do it as this week draws to a close. Have a great week, Aries. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insight. Welcome, Taurus, to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Over the last couple of years, I feel that you may have developed some disappointment around some of the connections you've had. Some people may not have come quite up to your expectations. Now, you have an opportunity this week to continue to showcase what makes you brilliant, dazzling, but also different. But it requires you to step outside your comfort zone, or that part of your nature which is more comfortable with familiar routines. And also at the start of this week, you may feel compelled to express an opinion that someone close to you may find a little hard to hear. But all of this energy is working into a pattern for you. We can only really be focused on pleasing one person. That doesn't mean to say we shouldn't be considerate to others, but when it comes to what makes you really individual, the dazzling alliance this week between the Sun and the provocative Uranus in your sign asks you to have the confidence to showcase exactly what is fresh about you. Now, not everybody's going to get that, but the last couple of years has revealed who some of those people may be. But there are other inspirational people who can move into your world over the next couple of years as we enter a new eclipse series, which does begin on Wednesday. But if there have been some people that you've given a lot of effort and energy to that haven't come up to your standards, do try to be philosophical if some of those relationships do start to melt away. You could see more of that towards the end of this week, but also there could be an opportunity around a professional situation where your practical but also creative approach could actually be very attractive to someone that you have a discussion with. And because you can balance doing something fresh and different with also being very reliable and dependable, that's something that can give you an added opportunity. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome, Gemini, to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Over the last 3 weeks, the Sun and more recently your ruler, Mercury, have been in the part of your situation to do with more personal considerations. You may have been thinking deeply about some aspects of your life, more to do with family matters or even your home, even how you live where you live. But this week, Uranus, an electric influence, which has been quite unsettling for you at times since March 2019, actually forges a really constructive link to the Sun. So you could have some flashes of insight, perhaps around some of those personal issues, perhaps around how you can remodel your domestic world or even your home itself, perhaps by creating more space, decluttering, moving furniture around, or perhaps even deciding to move altogether. But there's also a social opportunity at the start of this week because the gorgeous link between Venus and Jupiter, which peaked towards the end of last week. There may have been some kind of social connection or even a romantic one, and that still could be giving you a lot of uplift as you come into the week. But the position of Mars, now in the part of your scope to do with everyday finances, is going to make you very determined through to the 4th of November to get that part of your situation working as well as possible. But it is in a tense T-square with the nodal axis. When it comes to business and pleasure, I would keep them apart because of that particular aspect. It could be that someone is not quite sensitive enough to your needs. Speaking of sensitivity, the lunar eclipse, the first of a new series, which occurs on Wednesday, is in the sign of Pisces. But very close to it is the energies of Neptune. If you think back through to 2012, when Neptune first moved into your sector of goals, ambitions and worldly interactions, you've probably developed that part of your situation in a very positive way. A lot of experience and also a lot of opportunities to express your imagination, creativity and flair. Because that lunar eclipse is very, very close to Neptune, that part of your nature can really be evoked in a very powerful way over the next 6 months. But on the other side of the heavens, the sun in the practical Virgo is asking you to stay mindful of how things are in terms of the root of your world. It's also possible that since Neptune moved into that part of your chart in 2012 and Saturn over the last couple of years, you may have encountered some headwinds around work, responsibilities, goals and ambitions. And perhaps there is part of you that wants to change things a little bit. But as the week draws to a close, Venus, in the part of your chart to do with expressing yourself, does run it into heavy weather in a right angle to Pluto. If there is a relationship you're in already, and it could be a friendship, but it just seems to be a bit bogged down, perhaps someone's a bit clingy, perhaps even a bit possessive or controlling, that could be something that really does in some ways trigger you. However, this is where Uranus being in the 12th house can be such a benefit to you, because it can just give you that impulse to create a little bit of space, tune out and have some time for you. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. From Cancer to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Your instincts are very much to do with nurture and security, but you could surprise people this week. You may even surprise yourself by just how single-minded you're going to be in order to pursue something that's very important to you. But this energy is manifesting through the prism of Mars in your sign. But as it disperses out, someone at work, someone at home may not be completely convinced that you're doing the right thing. But for you, what you're desperate for is a sense of excitement, to feel alive, being a little bit more on edge. And if you have felt really confined over the last couple of years, perhaps because of the role of Saturn, the previous adventures and investigations and exploring, travel and education, which had proved so magical since 2012, may have seemed somewhat beyond you. But this week's lunar eclipse can reinvigorate that desire to change things up. But also because of the energy of the sun's linked to Uranus, there's a sense of excitement, speed, and all of that can create its own momentum. So even if you have felt boxed in, the chances are you're going to reignite that desire to do something which really helps you to fulfill a dream or a hope. As the week draws to a close, however, If it is to do with a close relationship that you do have to in some ways separate yourself from in order to do what really is inspiring you, that could lead to a rather mournful conversation as Venus goes into an opposition with Pluto. Pluto's the other part of this equation. Since it's moved back on the 2nd of September into your 7th house, that's also helping you to firm up your boundaries. And along with Mars in your sign, those two energies are what's permeating into this week, along with the electric connection between the Sun and Uranus, which just primes you up, desirous of much greater stimulation and buzz. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome Leo to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. There's somewhat of a paradox right at the start of this week. You could find yourself on a high from a beautiful link between the two planets of fortune, which peaked at the end of last week and may have seen a really sparkling encounter or a jolly time spent with friends. But as you come into this week, there could be some kind of important conversation which is rather triggering. It may just hit with a very sensitive point within you and could see you react in a surprising way. But the big picture this week, through the lunar eclipse, which provides a backdrop of energy for the next 6 months, is that if you're open to be progressive about how you use your resources, there's a great window of opportunity through that time to try some fresh approaches. This is because Uranus, the planet of innovation, links in a very positive way with the Sun in the part of your chart to do with your life foundations. Although you have an appreciation of continuity because you're a fixed sign, this lunar eclipse is asking you to be open-minded, but also conscious of your connections to others. There may have been times over the last couple of years that some kind of close alliance, particularly in business, has proved to be somewhat disappointing. It may have also been the case in a romantic sense too. But what Uranus is asking you to do is, if there has been some challenges, is to dust yourself down and be open to the fact that by trying again, the extra experience you've gained and an awareness to how trends are developing can see you have a significant breakthrough. For example, if you've got a business idea that you're really engaged by, have the confidence to take it forwards. If you've seen a job which is slightly different from something you've done in the past, be confident that you can adapt to this opportunity. By the end of the week, your confidence can be lifted by Jupiter square with Mercury. It will be important not to promise you can do something that perhaps is a little bit beyond your experience, but certainly your enthusiasm can be strong. However, romantically, Pluto square with Venus suggests that if someone has been telling you what they're going to do, but not delivering on their pledges, it's something that could be a little bit of a sore point. And the lunar eclipse is in the part of your situation to do with devotion. But because Neptune is very close to it, that has at times made it difficult to firm up what you will say no to. But the experience you've gained, particularly with Saturn's help over the last 2 years, can help you just be a lot more canny about what's worth sweating and what's worth just perhaps turning the other cheek to. But there could be a bit of a tense moment towards the end of this week around a relationship, particularly if you feel that someone's taken your input a little bit too much for granted. Have a great week. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome Virgo to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. You could find yourself wanting to break free of something this week, Virgo, and it's interesting because it could be something, a strand, a person, even a group of people that in the past have been a big part of your situation. But the week begins with you still potentially buzzing from a slice of good fortune that brought last week to a close. But it could be someone's attitude to your situation that makes you rethink a particular involvement or friendship or alliance. And that's because the T-square between Mars and the nodal axis on Monday can bring up some issues around feeling perhaps beholden to someone. The link between Uranus in a very exciting part of your scope and the sun in your sign, which really provides a backdrop for the whole week and is threaded through the lunar eclipse at the heart of the week, is really pushing you to be clearer about who you should really be linking to. Because over the last couple of years, there may have been some changes as Saturn has brought a cooler wind to connections that in the past may have been quite free and easy. And because Neptune's very close to this particular lunar eclipse, but Uranus is also a very big part of it too, if you feel that your goodwill or your natural generosity have been taken for granted, as you get to the end of this week and your ruler Mercury clashes with Jupiter, but also Venus clashes with Pluto, that's going to give you the confidence to be much bolder about what you can do for yourself. So a very dynamic set of energies feeds into your situation that is going to reverberate out over the next half year. And essentially, if people are worthy of you as you see it, and also are as sacrificing to you as you often are to them, you're still going to be all in. But I just feel that you're going to be much more conscious of trying some fresh approaches, really investing in what you need to do for you. Virgo people often are brilliant at supporting other people, but this is your time to firm up your boundaries, but break free from anything that isn't really working for you anymore. Have a great week, and if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome Libra to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Your ruler Venus is very influential this week. It starts the week in a glittering alliance with Jupiter, the planet of fortune. If you enjoyed a really uplifting conversation as last week came to a close, or even a flirty encounter, it wouldn't be a surprise. People seem to be more conscious of your presence, whether it's through your words, your ideas, or even your looks and how you dress. But also Mars has ascended into a very powerful part of your chart, pushing you to raise your profile and be more assertive. But ever since July 2013, when the nodal axis switched, the South Node inversed into your sign. And that's evoked within you perhaps some patterns where you've retreated to when you've not felt quite so confident. But Mars, now it's in that very potent area, is interacting in a T-square with that South Node and the North Node in the part of your chart that's to do with people pleasing. But Mars is saying push back against any situation where you feel that your goodwill, good nature and generosity is perhaps being taken for granted, because at the heart of this week is a liberating link between Uranus, but with the sun in a very reflective area, and that can help you to cut through, perhaps in a more outspoken way, and see some of the patterns that someone has been repeating. And if you do feel that that has been at a cost to you, once Venus, your ruler, squares off with the planet of power at the end of this week, that gives you an option to step back. So Mars essentially is giving you more confidence. It's urging you not to play safe, to set your boundaries. You're absolutely packed full of possibilities in terms of how you can attract people at the moment, but there could be someone at work, in a friendship, or in a personal situation where you don't really feel seen, heard, or respected as much as you would like. But this is not just going to be an issue for you this week, Libra. Because of the lunar eclipse occurs in the part of your chart to do with where you're most of service and where you're most obliged to other people, Saturn over the last couple of years has seen that become more and more of a burden. So the Sun's position in the 12th house can make you more aware of the psychological patterns that are going on, but also where people are not as supportive or perhaps not even as loyal as they could be. But you have a unique opportunity this week, even if it's painful to separate yourself from something or someone, but you do have an opportunity this week to break free, but at the same time in a way which gives you a tremendous amount of uplift. And there will be other people who are aware of what you've got to offer, and perhaps romantically even another person who's interested in you. So don't accept second best. That's not just the message for this week, it's the message for the next half year. You can't spend all of your life putting other people first. Have a great week, and if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome Scorpio to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Relationship matters are very much to the fore this week, but that doesn't have to be in a romantic dimension only. It can be around colleagues, around friendships, your group activities, as much as anyone you're more closely drawn to or involved with. The week begins with Venus, the planet of relating, in a sheltered area connecting to Jupiter, the planet of possibility. If you are single, there may be someone that you're just going to slowly but surely become much more conscious of. But also, as the week goes on, Uranus in your sector of relationships, which has had quite the impact since March 2019, is linking very powerfully with the Sun in the most social part of your chart. This could see some invitations coming out of the blue. It may be that some people who are a little bit different or fresh can take on a greater attraction to you. But at the heart of the week, we do have the lunar eclipse, and it occurs in your 5th house of romance. Neptune's been there since 2012. It may have brought about some really delightful connections and experiences at times, but over the last couple of years, perhaps a greater sense of responsibility as Saturn has been in that area. Now, one of the challenges of this week could be trying to keep all of the people happy all of the time. We know that that can be a challenging thing. In fact, by the end of this week, as we have a square between your modern ruler Pluto and Venus, if a relationship is becoming too much, it's closing in on you, you feel rather limited by it. Perhaps someone wants too much of your attention in a way which is stopping you spending time with other people. That could actually give you the impulse to back off. Uranus can be about the need for freedom as much as sudden attractions. And I just feel that this particular lunar eclipse could see you shaking up your approach to relationships in general. So whether it is around who you connect with around interests or someone you're more closely involved with, getting your own space will be important, but you also need to feel stimulated and challenged, because Venus remains this week in a part of your chart which can make you a little bit reflective of what you really want. You may be seeing the downside more on certain involvements. What it can also do is make you much more nostalgic for someone from your past. But generally, over the next 6 months, a good balance between getting what you need from situations, but also pivoting to what other people need from you is really what's being required from this particular powerful lunar eclipse this week. Have a great week, Scorpio. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome, Sagittarius, to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Since March 2019, the chances are that life's been a little chaotic at times. Certainly the potential for a lot of change around work. Maybe your routines haven't always been that settled. Now, of course, there's part of you that likes lots of fresh experiences, so that may have worked in some ways, but over the last couple of years, as Saturn has moved into your sector of home, emotion and family, that may have made the restraints that much more frustrating. But this week, Uranus, which is behind a lot of this energy, forges a stunning alliance to the Sun, which links into the lunar eclipse on Wednesday. Over the next 6 months, this could present an opportunity for you which really can excite you. It may require some more change. It may require flexing around some of your home, family and emotional needs. But if you're prepared to flex, this opportunity could be something that really excites you, because it can liberate you in some way to focus on something which helps you to raise your profile, but also demonstrate to people just how talented you can be. Now, socially, this week starts off very brightly with your ruler Jupiter in a lovely link to Venus. There may be a connection, particularly if you're single, to one particular friend which really is very uplifting. But ironically, by the end of this week, and particularly if you're involved in a relationship, if you and your partner see a financial matter differently, that could cause a little bit of tension. Have a great week, Sagittarius. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome, Capricorn, to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. You have a rightful reputation of being steadfast, and you work through situations in a very thorough and systematic way. But over the last couple of years, it is possible that some restrictions have pulverized your passion somewhat, perhaps to do with your everyday life, people that you're needing to connect to on a daily basis, a sibling, a neighbour, or perhaps a travel inhibition. However, this is a week when you can really open up and dazzle people with a much more exciting side of your nature. The more playful side of Capricorns becomes stronger as you get older. And if there is something that you want to celebrate, join in with others. You can do it, but you could do it in quite a spontaneous way. So don't be surprised if you suddenly get the urge to connect with the people that give you a sense of feeling alive and stimulated, and you do something really quite spontaneously. But also this can be true over the next 6 months too, because the lunar eclipse this week is really giving you an opportunity to rethink some of your approaches. Where Saturn has been limiting you over the last couple of years, if you can add an extra dash of imagination, there is a way to tease open some new possibilities. Now, towards the end of this week, Venus, which has been highlighting your skills as a diplomat professionally, does clash with Pluto in your sign. If there is a situation where you feel that you're needing to compromise a little bit too much, that could frustrate you. But I feel the best way is to work with the lunar eclipse and try to find an accord. And that may come from being more flexible, perhaps leaning into a situation, a little bit of give and take, and really hearing where someone's coming from, even if they don't agree, will actually help to just move the thing along. But generally, this is a week which creates the opportunity for some fun, excitement, and potentially for some travel too. Have a great week, Capricorn. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome Aquarius to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. Over the last few years, there has potentially been a lot of change, particularly around where you live or perhaps around your emotional or family life. It could have been a bit unsettling. But then over the last couple of years, you've been pushed to concentrate on getting the foundations of your world really firmed up with the help of your traditional ruler, Saturn. But that part of your situation sees a lunar eclipse this week, which provides a backdrop energy for the next 6 months. And if it has felt a little elusive to get that sense of security and stability, ironically, your modern ruler Uranus could give you the insights to prime up some significant solutions over the next half year. And it's all around the lunar eclipse of Wednesday this week, because Uranus links perfectly with the Sun. A fresh approach, trying something in a different or novel way, could actually finally get you to where you really crave to be, which has given you a new structure, a new way of formulating your situation, which allows you to have that space and freedom, which is important to Aquarius people, but the basic foundations are much more stable. There is also, right at the start of this week, the potential for a really lovely connection. So as you come into this week, it's possible that your social world at the weekend before was very uplifting. Just at the end of this week, however, in a romantic context, as Pluto squares up with Venus, an issue could come into the open which surprises you a little bit. It's going to be a short-term impact, this, but maybe someone close to you has been thinking about something but not sharing it with you. Or perhaps it's you who's been harbouring a secret frustration. But if this does come up, see it as an opportunity to ventilate the issue, shine light on it, speak it and talk it through and release it. Have a great week, Aquarius. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights. Welcome Pisces to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. The big news story this week, cosmically, is the lunar eclipse in your sign. This provides a backdrop for the next 6 months. But concurrent to that, Mars, the planet of passion, is in the most romantic, demonstrative and social part of your situation through to the 4th of November. He's also going to return there again on the 6th of January through to the 18th of April next year. So even if you're not in a relationship at the moment, don't be surprised if slowly but surely you find yourself much more interested in forging connections to someone else. The electric energy of Uranus also feeds into the lunar eclipse. That's in the part of your chart to do with your everyday world, but also technology. Now, we all know that dating can be centered around mobile devices these days through different apps, but it doesn't have to be in that way that you can forge a new alliance. It could just happen in your everyday world, that there is a quick, fast-moving and sudden connection which really makes your pulse race. But you know, the converse can also be true, Pisces. If you're in a relationship which you feel is really stopping you from expressing yourself, you don't feel able to go out and socialise with your friends. In some ways it's limiting you, frustrating you. I feel that Mars is linked to the nodal axis at the start of this week can make you quite outspoken, particularly if you don't quite agree on finances. In fact, by the end of this week, as Venus squares up to Pluto, the planet of transformation, but also of power, if there is a time where you really feel that you're losing your autonomy in some way, you feel frustrated and hemmed in, the politics of that relationship could be something that over time you may be reviewing. And it's all because of Uranus. Uranus is about freedom. Your freedom to say how you feel, your freedom to move around as you wish, but also the freedom to connect to people who you find really enlivening to be with. So relationships of all kinds, whether it's with friendships, colleagues, or in a romantic context, are going to be at the heart of your world over the next 6 months. You can have some jolly social encounters too, but if you are looking for a more serious romantic relationship, I don't think you're going to be prepared to compromise. This time you really want what you really need. Have a great week. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, please see the link beneath this video. You can get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report. These are based totally on the person they're produced for and will give you stunning insights.